What's going on, everyone? I wanted to make this video about the sales rut and how to overcome it. I've gone through one myself just recently and thought that making such a piece of content for some people might be helpful. So, first off, how do you even get in the sales rut? You keep taking the sales calls, everything seems fine, and then at some point you just lose it. Right? You keep taking the sales calls, people keep saying random things, sometimes even different things every single time, and you don't really understand what is going on and what to do with it. And then time and time again that happens, you look at your metrics and there you go, you've taken 20 sales calls without any sales whatsoever. Pretty painful place to be in. One thing I would say is that it feels like it's easier when you constantly face some certain issue. Say you get the I need to think about it objection every time, or for the past 5 calls, people asked for a reference, right? Now, these are more or less preventable situations where you might have to do a little tweak and it's going to be gone, right? But what happened in my case is just different situations keep coming up. People have been requesting the references. Obviously, something was off with the tonality. They didn't trust me, but also it's just been always something, right? I personally have had 30 sales calls with 0 sales literally 2 months ago. That was by far one of the most stressful situations I've experienced with my business. Transparently, for me, the solution had two parts to it. The first one is consistency. Obviously, you want to keep putting in and having the calls. And honestly, at critical stages when I'm stressed, I'm actually putting in more. So whenever everything goes fine, I tend to have even less sales calls, which is not a good thing. But first, you want to make sure that you don't stop taking the sales calls. This is the first thing. There is not going to be any sales whatsoever if you stop taking the sales calls. And then the second thing is you need to make the change. Something needs to change in you, your tonality, your approach, whatever. Luckily, at that period, I was in Vietnam. It was a different country. I've had a lot of different changes in my routine. I've tried different things. I've met different people. I generally was able to chill out. And this had a big impact on my tonality, on how I behave on the calls, sometimes even just telling some random stories to the prospects on the sales calls, right? But then the biggest practical thing besides just mental changes was actually seeing my friends taking the sales calls, talking to my mentor, trying to make the changes in the script specifically. And I was at the point when I was doing one script, it wasn't really working out. I changed it completely. I kept following the framework, the 10-step framework that I follow by Aaron Brewer, a really great sales course. I recommend it to everyone. It's very simple. It's actually very cheap, but I completely rewrote the script. It became much simpler. I was overcomplicating a lot of things. I also noticed that I was very tensed on the calls. And by tensed, I don't only mean myself being tensed, but I was trying to follow the framework word for word. And this was harming my sales calls because I saw my friend closing a 2K a month client without even asking maybe 60% of the questions. That was the shortest call I've ever seen. That was so smooth. And I realized that, oh my God, you don't have to go through every single question in your sales methodology or your sales script just for the sake of going through them. Now, you still want to do this, but what this allowed me to do is literally chill out and come to the calls a little bit more relaxed. That, knowing that I don't have to go through every single question or maybe ask something when I just don't feel like asking it in this certain way. Now, over time, with taking the calls, I actually came back to asking all of the questions, but it just feels way more natural at this point, right? So, might not be the most perfect recommendation, but if you feel like you find yourself being all tensed, trying to follow the structure because you just simply don't know, you have not taken enough sales calls to know, simply allow yourself not to ask this question, maybe change it to a different one. You want to keep the structure the same, but you don't have to follow it word for word. With me, it was really big because I tend to be very technical or scripted, and it's really important to be free in this manner. In the meantime, though, while I was taking those sales calls and closing 0 people, I started creating some YouTube videos. While it doesn't directly impact your sales ability nor changes anything, I feel like it actually made me feel more confident. I actually saw people closing clients using content and utilizing it. It led me to creating my pre-call video. It generally helped me with a little bit of conviction. As soon as I created some videos, the moment that I can actually use it, I say it on a sales call. I'm like, oh, hey, we actually, have a YouTube video about this, or I had like a training session with my client and recorded it and published it on YouTube. And all these things, I feel like they add in your credibility at the end of the day. So it's been actually really helpful, and making content helped me more mentally, but also I noticed that people actually look at it. They look at your website, they look at your YouTube, they look at your social media and all that stuff. Even though, don't get me wrong, I know plenty of people that are doing 30 and 50K a month. They have no social media, their website looks like shit. It's literally your sales ability first. One more really big thing that I remember was changing my offer and my model a little bit. I used to do paid in full for 6-month contract. I changed it to the same price of paid in full for a 3-month contract. It feels like it helped me with convincing people that it's not that big of a deal, because nobody wants to be locked into something for 6 months. While I was making more, the contracts became a little bit less pressing, even though right now the bottleneck of my business is delivering the client results. And by bottleneck, I mean improving them, because we're getting the leads in consistently, we're getting some appointments for them, but we simply need to improve that structure and get more of it. And then after pitching the 3 months for a little while, I actually finally came to retainers. And this I feel like was really big for my sales, because it's much easier for clients to enter the program or whatever it is you call it at a lower price, because it's just the first month, and then you just set up the auto payment link and you still are likely to get paid if you're doing everything right on the client delivery. Now, retention, however, is going to be the next step of my business, because 3 months isn't that long. You do need to deliver good stuff to be able to keep your clients happy and keep them with you for the longest time. So in the end, it feels like it's been a few select things combined that helped me get out of my sales rut, as well as keeping consistent. At least when I'm stressed, I cannot not work. So that was pretty much the only thing I could do. Keep having the sales calls, keep trying to find an answer. You will eventually find it. It's not that hard with media buying, with sales. It's always just a few steps away from actually reaching the consistent results. My personal close rate jumped from below 10% to 20% in February, exactly after making some content, creating the pre-call video, changing up the model a little bit and switching it to retainers and shorter contracts, and then consistent practice, because I've been attending the group calls with my mentor, working on the scripts, and then eventually I ended up rewriting it and practicing the tonality, just kind of repeating it over and over again. And lastly, changes in my routine, having a bunch of experiences. You want to find the energy to get out of your house, do some sports, have some fun, meet some people. And all these things kind of emotionally helped me to keep going. All right, fam. I hope sharing my experience was helpful. By any means, I'm not claiming that these are the ways to go when it comes to getting out of your sales route, but these are the things that I feel helped me and I feel are generally benefiting your business. Just like, because with posting the content right now, it gave me a few different threads, a few different interesting threads that I can develop and grow into. I mean, that's partly why I'm making this video. All right, thanks for watching. Follow for more.